Welcome and thank you everyone for joining the webinar on PR pathways, Canadian PR pathways for healthcare workers. Consider yourselves very fortunate because this surely is going to be a hell of a session when it comes to navigating the Canadian immigration landscape. For those of you who are new here, to give you a little bit of a background about the speaker for today, Niran Marshall Perera is actually the founding director and he also happens to be a barrister solicitor at the Law Society of Ontario. He's also a registered Canadian immigration consultant and an attorney at law at the Bar Association of Sri Lanka. So Niran actually brings you a wealth of legal expertise and knowledge when it comes to navigating all the complexities in the Canadian immigration landscape. And to give you a little bit of a outlook on Marshall's wider world immigration itself. We are mainly based in Canada, and we also have a physical presence in Sri Lanka as well, in Borlaskamua. So on the specifics of the physical address of the location, we'll be dropping all the details in the chat. So do stick around and look out for that as well. And if you guys wish to book a one-on-one consultation, or rather a one-on-one session with our consultant himself, we'll be dropping or we'll be revealing the details on how to book the one-on-one consultation. All you need to do is to send us the most recently updated resume of yours. We'll send it through a screening process. And if you happen to be one of these candidates who will be eligible to apply to a Canadian PR pathway with regards to Canadian healthcare workers, or rather healthcare workers in general, you might be a doctor, you might be a nurse, or maybe you might not be aware of your healthcare profession. So do stick around until the end of the webinar, as Niran will take you through all the details and specifics of who will be eligible in terms of applying in this Canadian PR pathway. And also, before we start off the proceedings for today, just to give you a little bit of an outset of the social media platforms in Marshall's wider world immigration, we have a strong presence of over 20,000 followers across all our social media platforms on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and YouTube. And we'll be dropping all the links to our social media in the chat. And do feel free to follow us on our social media platforms, as we will make sure to keep you posted on each and every update of Canadian immigration landscape, success stories, and tips and tricks as to how you can better and master your application in terms of applying to Canada. And that's about it on the introduction for the webinar. I'll hand over the webinar to the keynote speaker himself, Niran Marshall Perera. Hope you guys have a very productive session.
Thank you, Ranusha. So I once again, I warmly welcome all of you to this session. So as Ranusha introduced, my name is Niran. So I'm a regulated Canadian immigration consultant, and I'm also a barrister and solicitor of Law Society of Ontario. So today in this session, we will show you how you can get the permanent resident status in Canada as a healthcare worker. අපි ඔයගලන්ට මේකේ මුළු කතාවේදීම අපි සෙෂන් එකේදී ඔයගලන්ට පෙන්වන්න හදන්නේ කොහොමද කැනඩාවේ ස්ථිර පදිංචිය ගන්න කියලා හෙල්ත් කෙයාර් වර්කර් කෙනෙක් හැටියට. මොකද සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ඔයගලන් රටකට මේ කියන්නේ මයිග්‍රේට් වෙන්න බලාගෙන හිටියනම් දැන් ගොඩක් ලංකාවේ අය යන්නේ ස්ටුඩන්ට් විදියට යනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් වර්ක් පර්මිට් එකකට යනවා. මේකේ වැදගත්කම තමයි ඔයගලන්ට permanent resident, ඒ කියන්නේ ස්ථිර පදිංචිය ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඉතින් එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ ආවම ඔයාගේ පවුලත් එක්ක එනවනම් wife ටයි කියන්නේ husband wife ඉන්නවා නම් දෙන්නටම පළවෙනි දවසේ ඉඳන් වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන් කිසිම restriction එකක් නැතුව ඉගෙන ගන්න ඒව කරන්න අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. ළමයි ඉන්නවා නම් ඒගොල්ලන්ට අධ්‍යාපනය නොමිලේ ලැබෙනවා. ඉතින් ඒ වගේ benefits තියෙනවා. අපි කොහොමද ඒක කරන්න කියන එක තමයි බලන්නේ. අපි ඒකින්ද කෙලින්ම අපි session එකට යන්. මම session එක English වලින් කරන්නේ. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ප්‍රශ්න තියෙනවා නම් one-on-one consultation එකක් අපේ expert කෙනෙක් එක්ක book කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ අවශ්‍ය හැම විස්තරයක්ම අපි මේ session එක අවසානයේ දෙනවා. ඉතින් මම දැන් ඔයගලන්ට එක්ක මේ screen එක share කරන්නම්. අපි presentation එකක් ඔයගලන්ට අවසානයේදී share කරනවා. Right. So first of all, I will go through the benefits, right? So the main topic here is why would you come to Canada as a permanent resident? I know you all are professionals, right? So the main topic, you have established careers in Sri Lanka. So the main question, why would I come from Sri Lanka to Canada? I faced the same issue like a couple of years ago, not like the 5-6 years ago, when I was a practicing lawyer in Sri Lanka, right? So my friends asked, why are you moving to Canada? You have a good practice in Sri Lanka. So why are you moving to Canada? There are reasons for that. So I came like, as I said, 6 years ago. Now I'm extremely happy about my decision. Why is that is, first thing is, we get the permanent resident status for the entire family. So if you have kids, if you have your spouse, once your application is approved by IRCC, which is the regulated body for immigration in Canada, your entire family will get the permanent resident status. So then later on, after 3 years or so, you can slowly work yourself into Canadian citizenship. So that's one of the best advantages, because now you see a lot of people in Sri Lanka, they migrating as students, they migrating as workers, but then again, that's not permanent. But for the benefit for the healthcare workers is, it is in high demand in Canada. So you will get the permanent resident status rather than having to go through the entire journey of like student, then working, then getting the permanent residence. The important factor is, once your application is approved at the airport itself, you will get the permanent resident status, which is priceless. Because like some people who come as students, they have to study for 2 years, then work for another year, and then work themselves into permanent residency. But in your case, since you're a healthcare professional, you can straight away dive into the permanent resident status. The next benefit is free education for children. So that means like if you have children who's doing primary or secondary education, they will be able to gain access to free education. So you can, like, based on your location, you can go to the nearest school. You have public school, Catholic school, French speaking schools. So whatever based on your preference, you can engage with those schools, and then your child can study free of charge. Then another benefit is free general medical care, which is another huge benefit, especially when it comes to the life-threatening situation. For an instance, let's say all of a sudden you have a heart attack and you have to do a bypass, which is in Sri Lanka, it's a big deal. You have to either stay in the waiting list or you have to pay a huge bill. But in Canada, if you have that, if you're a permanent resident, then your bills will be covered by the government. So as we grow up and as we move into the old age, then these benefits are priceless again, because you have that assurance that you have access to free medical service. Then the most important factor, as far as I'm concerned, is quality of life. The quality of life here in Canada, it's ranked number 3 as for the US News Best Countries rankings. So which I think, if my memory was right, Canada is only second to Sweden and Switzerland. So the quality of life here is a very important factor. So as I said, I was a practicing lawyer when I came in, right? So I was also like the bit even though I was optimistic about it, I was just like the hesitant whether I'll be able to establish myself in Canada. The most important part there was, once I came in, when I go to a bank or when I go to a doctor or like any other professional institution, when I say I'm a lawyer, they respect us. So similar, if you're a doctor, if you're a nurse, they will respect. So there's a mutual respect between professionals is huge. So that is something that, because we have worked hard, we have studied, we have gone through the entire rigorous process of accreditation. Now it's time to get that recognition. So you get the self-accomplishment, the sense of self-accomplishment, and the quality of life is it's one of the pivotal factors, because you can just focus on your career and you can do your bit, and you just have a calm and peaceful life. So that is why the next benefit is safety and peacefulness. That is based on the low crime rates, less traffic violations. You can just rather than bother about anything else, you can just spend time with your family and live peacefully. then the other benefit is the immigrant settlement program. So once you come inside as an immigrant, let's say you go through the permanent resident application process and your application is approved, right? So then in that case, the once you come inside Canada, there are several settlement agencies which will help you to gain the settle in Canada, right? So like for an instance, as a professional, let's say you're a nurse, you're a registered nurse, you come inside Canada, there is a program called Windmill Loan, right? So you can check just go to Google, just type Windmill, WINDMILL. My office will share the links with you, all the relevant links. And then this like the particular institution, they give you up to 15,000 Canadian dollars to learn your trade in Canada and establish yourself in Canada. And you just have to pay for 3 years or so until you establish. You have to just pay like only the interest. So once you settle, then you can pay the loan back, which has happened to me because as a practicing lawyer, once I came here, like I have to go through the federal exams and the provincial exams to become a barrister and solicitor. So what I did was I took a loan and then I paid like I just have to pay the interest. So once I established myself in my career, I paid the loan off. So likewise, there are several, like if you want clothes, if you want any help with how to like plan your career, there are several settlement agencies. So that's very important as a newcomer. So the Canadian government is taking measures to ensure that you will be able to establish yourselves. Right. So then the right. So then right. So then the main important factor, like when you're making a decision, right, the earning capacity. As a doctor, how much can you earn? As a nurse, how much can you earn? Right. So let's dive into that. So we will check the link will be shared. Right. So with the presentation, right? So the best place to check the earning capacity is the Government of Canada website itself, right? See here, it's the official Government of Canada Job Bank website. So when you go to the tab of compare wages, you will be able to see how much each professional can earn in Canada on average, right? So let's just type doctor here. Right, so let's say you're a family doctor. So if you're a family doctor, right, you'll be able to see across Canada, the low yearly income is 88,755. And the median wage is like the 233,726. And the high wage is 450,136. So let's do a little bit of calculations here. So here, as I said, this is the gross salary, the low range, median range, and the high range. And as you know, we have to pay the tax portion. So you will be able to calculate the tax from this particular link. Again, it will be shared with you. So you pick the income and you put it here, then and select the province. You'll be able to calculate let's say, let's do one calculation. So let's see the first one. Here, the low capacity is 88,755. So we'll type here 88,755 and we'll do the calculation. Then you'll be able to see, right, the tax portion is 29.3 and the net pay is 62,776. So when it comes to our calculation, you can see we have done the calculation for you. So we have deducted the taxes and based on your wage, you'll be able to calculate the taxes. So some will think, okay, why am I paying 29% as taxes? Even though we pay 29% as taxes, there are other benefits. As I said, free education, free health, right? So all these benefits are there. And and if you see, this is CPP deduction, this is the pension plan, and you have EI deduction. If you lose your job, there will be an insurance, right? So if we do the calculation and convert it into Sri Lankan terms, right, LKR, you will understand it better. So let's take the low wage, right? So here, as you can see, the gross salary is 88,755. Then the federal taxes is 25,979. And once you deduct that, your net salary is 62,776. $776, and the monthly income is $5,231.33, which is in Sri Lankan terms is more than 1.1 million rupees, right? So as a starting as a start of your profession, you will be able to gain 1.1 Sri Lankan rupees, like million Sri Lankan rupees. So if you're a qualified doctor, if you have like 3, 4, 5 years experience, then you might look into median wage. If you're a senior doctor, you might look into high wage. So the earning capacity can go up to 4.3 million, like based on your experience and expertise, right? So then again, let's see another profession, which is like for nurse. So let's say if you're a nurse, then let's see what's your earning capacity is like. So the low wage is 28 per hour. The earlier, if you see, it was like given for the entire year. Now it's hourly calculation. 28 for hour, median wage 40, then high wage 50. So again, we have done the calculation. So if you're a nurse, on average, as a starting position, you'll be able to gain 760,236 rupees. And if median wage is more than 1 million, and if the high wage is 1.3 million. So again, while enjoying this salary, you have already paid the federal taxes. That means you will be able to enjoy the other benefits like free education, free medical care, and the other benefits which comes around CPP, EI, and so on. So the earning capacity for healthcare workers is increasing day by day, because with the COVID, now there is huge demand for healthcare professionals in Canada. So once you come inside Canada, you will be able to understand that you are highly recognized and highly paid here in Canada. So the most important part is to see how we can get this permanent residency. That will be the primary concern for the majority of you, right? So there are two pathways. The first one is the federal pathway. The other one is the provincial pathway. So if I briefly explain that, the federal pathway, it's like the common system which is across all provinces. So the provincial pathways is peculiar to particular province. For an instance, Ontario have a provincial pathway, British Columbia has a provincial pathway. So likewise, each province will have a provincial pathway. So let's go into federal pathways, right? So why we are doing this session and why it's easy for healthcare workers to get the permanent residence in Canada as opposed to other professions is because the government of Canada recognized there is like lack of qualified healthcare professionals in Canada. So what they did was they categorized the express entry based on the demand. So if you see, they have decided like these are the high demand categories. They said that it's like French language, healthcare occupations, science, technology, engineering, commonly known as STEM, trade occupations, transport occupations, agriculture, and agri-food occupations. So here, today what we're going to talk about is healthcare occupations. So once we come inside this and click on this box, you will be able to see there are 35 occupations in Canada which are in high demand, right? So which includes audiologists and speech language pathologists. Then you will see general practitioners, right? Then the practical nurses, massage therapists, right? So if you go down the list, like the physiotherapists, psychologists, don't worry, this presentation will be shared with you, so you can check these links by yourself, right? So I just want to show that like there are 35 occupations which fall under healthcare category. So if you are under any of these, you have a chance to migrate to Canada on permanent resident status, right? So the important part about these 35 the occupations is, right? So you will be able to have a competitive advantage over other professionals. For instance, let's say if you're an accountant, right, and you want to take Canadian permanent residence, the threshold that you have to meet is significantly high. For an instance, under federal stream, no accountant can come to Canada under permanent residency right now because of the high score. because the scores is around, like they have stopped the federal skilled worker draw, but there's normal scores is around 500, which is like impossible to meet. And you will see for healthcare workers, they have lesser requirement. So we will go to that and find that out, right? So if you see how the Canada like select these candidates is based on a system called CRS, which is Comprehensive Ranking System. So I'll just click on this link again. You will have access to this link, right? So here it's a points-based system, right? So based on your profile, you will be given a score, and if the cutoff is lesser than your score, then you will get an invitation to apply. So how do they calculate this score? So let's quickly see. So they will the score is calculated based on 5 factors. The first one is skills. The other one is education. The other one is language ability and work experience. And other factors includes whether you have a sibling here in Canada, or whether you have a labor market impact assessment, or whether you have a provincial nomination. Those are the other factors. So let's do a quick calculation so you can calculate your own score and see how how you are placed in terms of getting an invitation. So first question the question they ask is, what is your marital status? Let's say you're married. And is your spouse or common law partner citizen or permanent resident of Canada? We say no. Will your spouse or common law partner come with you to Canada? Yes. Then let's say you are 33 years of age. Then in terms of education, you can see when you click this drop down, there are several options, right? If you have done a bachelor's degree, you can select bachelor's degree. More importantly, if let's say you're a doctor and you have MBBS, then you have to select this master's degree or professional degree needed to practice a licensed profession. So you will be able to select this if you have MBBS. Let's say you have the nursing diploma and 3 years. So then your option is to select this 3 or more year program at university. So let's say you have a like MBBS and we select this. Then do you have a Canadian qualification? Which you don't. Then the official language, then you can either do CELPIP, IELTS, IELTS, or PTE, or if you are doing French, you can do TEF or TCF, right? So let's say you did IELTS, then your score, speaking you have 7, listening you have 8, and reading 7, writing 7, which is the CLB 9 threshold. Once we log into once you go down the presentation, you will realize those are like few requirements are there to gain a competitive score. So I will explain that to you at that stage. Here, then they will ask, do you have other language results? If you have done French or so, you can select, but most of you all don't. So let's say not applicable. Then this is a very tricky question. A lot of people get this bit confusing, because here they ask, in the last 10 years, how many years of skilled work experience in Canada do you have? So they are not talking about experience in Sri Lanka, right? So in most of the cases, the answer is none or less than a year, because you don't have Canadian experience. Then they ask, in the last 10 years, how many total years of foreign skilled work experience do you have? Here only you have to select. So let's say you have like 5, 6, 7, 8 years of experience, then your answer should be 3 years or more. Then, do you have a certificate of qualification from a Canadian province, territory, or federal body? Answer no. Then, do you have a valid job offer supported by labor market impact assessment? Again, answer is no. Do you have nomination certificate? Answer is no. Then, do you or your spouse or common law partner have at least one brother or sister living in Canada? So if you have a brother or sister living in Canada, you can answer it yes. But in most cases, again, the answer is no. Then it comes to the spouse details, right? So let's say your spouse has only a 1-year program at a university. So let's put 1. Then in the last 10 years, how many years of skilled work experience? Again, in Canada. So in most cases, the answer is none. Then let's say if your like spouse has taken a language test, and let's say he only has like 5, 6, again 5, 5, Okay, right? So then you will be able to calculate the score. So once you calculate the score at the bottom, you will be able to see your respective score. So you can come up there and change your scores, and the let's say you're like based on the factors, the score will change. Let's say you are not 33 years of age, you are 30 years of age. So remember that the score was 430, right? If you put 30 years of age and again recalculate the score, your score will go up to 449. So after the age of 30, you will lose 5 points every year. So these, like, then the calculation here you can see how they have calculated how many points they have given you for your age, education, language, work experience, and so on, right? So then the spouse, how they have contributed. So that's how you do the CRS calculation. So don't worry. And if you're interested in doing your own calculation, one of our staff will get in touch with you, and they will do a one-on-one session with you and do the calculations and see where you stand, right? So in some cases, like there may be areas to improve. For an instance, let's say you have an issue with IELTS and you only have like maybe 6 or 7. Then you have to see, okay, if I improve my score to 8 for listening and 7 for others, how your score will go up, right? How to get that done. All these questions will be answered in one-on-one session by one of our consultants. And then if you only have a 3-year program diploma, then your score will be less. So how can I improve my score? What needs to be done? So it's based on your profile. We can guide you to improve your score. So now let's see why we are talking about this particular healthcare program, right? So the reason for that is, I'll just type healthcare here because we are talking about healthcare. The government of Canada in the last year and a half or so, right? So starting from June 28, 2023, they have invited 12,850 healthcare professionals to Canada. So if you calculate all of these, you'll be able to see 12,850. So that's huge. So the opportunity is huge. So the scores of the lowest invited candidate, you can see that right now is 445, and now the last draw happened in July 5th, 2024, which is like like couple of months ago. Now we are expecting another draw probably by November. So you will see whether the score will go up or score will go down. But as I said, for an accountant to come to here as a permanent resident, you need 500 plus score. But for healthcare professionals, your score can be even like somewhere around 4. Like in this opportunity, the lowest score was 422. So that's very doable and gettable score if you are able to work on the required fields like the education, language ability, and so on. It's a very highly achievable score if you are a professional. So let's see the normal requirements that you would need to achieve that score. As I said, age is a huge factor here. If you are like below 35, you have a very good chance of meeting this score, right? So why I'm saying that is, like, as I said, after the age of 30, you will lose 5 points every year. And if you are 35, you have already lost 30 points, right? But if you're 40, then you have already lost 55 points, because like every year you lose 5 after the age of 30. So if you're below 35, then you have a very good chance. Then when it comes to education, if you have a higher national diploma of 3 years or more, or a bachelor's degree or a master's degree, you have a good chance. But in the higher national diploma, again, you have to see whether you have another program which is 6 months or more, then you will get like the higher points. So likewise, you have to see based on your profile. If you're based on whether you have HND, whether you have a bachelor's, master's, you have a chance. But master's will get PhD will obviously give the highest points, but in most cases that is not applicable. But as I said, if you're an MBBS holder, then in that case you will be considered as a master's degree holder. So then the other factor is work experience. So the work experience is is if, as I said, it's the work experience in your home country. So majority of you, I mean almost all of you, are from Sri Lanka. So it's based on, as a nurse, how many years of experience do you have? As a doctor, how many years of experience do I have? Right? And a lot of people like this young professional phase is they have to go through this internship period. As long as your intern is paid, you can calculate that. For instance, if you're done in Bragamo, if you're done Karapitia, or wherever it may be, if your internship is paid, even though it's a very less amount, which I know it is very less amount, you can calculate that as work experience, right? So and you only need, the maximum points will be given for 3 years, right? So if you have even if you have 5, 10, 15, you will still get the points for 3 years. So if you have 3 years, you get the highest points, but at least you need to have around 2 years of experience, right? Then the language proficiency. So as I said, there are a couple of exams when it comes to English you can do. PTE, you can do it, PTE Core, CELPIP, right? And IELTS general exam. So based on your language ability, for an instance, here we are talking about minimum of CLB 9. So once you have your one-on-one session with our expert, you will be able to find out that why you need this CLB 9. So CLB 9 means you have to get listening 8 and 7 for rest of the others, right? So that means listening 8, reading 7, writing 7, speaking 7. If you get that score, you will be able to attain the minimum CLB 9 score. If you're able to get go more, you get more for your IELTS, you will be able to get higher points. So just to summarize, if you're below 35 and if you have an HND or bachelor's or master's, and if you have 2 years of experience and you have the language proficiency to CLB 9 or higher, even if it is less, we can see what we can do because the provincial options are also there, right? So don't get disheartened if you have the language difficulties, right? So as I said, our professional will what we are going to do is we will give you an email address and a contact number. You can send your CVs, then they will do the calculation and they will say whether we can work with your profile or not, right? So then if you think that we can work on with your profile, they will book a one-on-one session and they will explain or they will answer all of your questions, right? So then let's say you have you have 3 of these and you are missing on one. For an instance, let's take an example. You are 33 years of age and you have a master, you're a doctor. Let's say you have a master's. You have 2 years of experience as an intern, as well as a practitioner. Then, but you have a difficulty in language proficiency. You cannot go beyond 6 or 7. You cannot take 8. You cannot take 8 for listening. You have a difficulty. You cannot take 7 for writing. You end up in 6.5. That's not the end of the world because we have provincial nomination programs in place as well, right? So then in provincial nomination program, we have selected the Ontario. So for just to give you a brief introduction about it. So let's see one by one, what are these provincial draws. So here, the government of Ontario, they have identified, right? So the demand for the healthcare workers, right? So here they have identified several occupations which are in demand in the province. For an instance, if you're a manager in a healthcare profession, if you're a dentist, and if you're a psychologist, or if you're a physiotherapist, even if you are a paramedical occupations, and even the pharmacy technicians, pharmacists, those occupations are in high demand in Ontario. So the score here is only 414. The last cutoff was between 414 to 444. So if you have as I said, getting this 415, 420 is not an impossible task if you're a professional. So you can calculate your score based on the comprehensive ranking system, as I said. So let's go dive into the another draw. So this one, right? So July 25th, again they have listed out the occupations, and the last cutoff was 425, right? So then again, if we'll check another one, July 18th, again, they have provided the, okay, it's the same thing. So we'll go to March 7th. So here, the important part is here. The March 7, 2024 score dropped to 352. 352 is highly achievable score. If you have language difficulty, still with the language difficulty, you'll be able to go beyond 352. There is no doubt, like if you are a professional, if you have the age and if you have the qualifications and if you have the work experience and difficulty in language, and let's say you can only get 7 or 6, still you can achieve the score of 352, right? So let's see, and there was another particular draw in February where they have provided the score was 379. And then they had a draw in September 26, 2023, which was confined to the general practitioners, nursing coordinators, registered nurses, licensed practical nurses, and NSA orderlies and patient service associates. There also the score dropped to 350. So if you are a healthcare professional, and then you have a distinct advantage over other professions to gain Canadian permanent residency. Because if you're an accountant, or if you're let's say if you're a lawyer, or if you're a marketing manager, and if you have a score around 400, you have no chance in federal system, absolutely no chance. But since there is huge demand for healthcare professionals, they have given this opportunity that you will be able to get this score. So it's all about like the identifying your profile and do the calculation and see how best you can improve your score, right? So based on what you can improve, in that case, the based on how you can improve. For an instance, let's say you need to work on your language, you need to work on your education, or if you need to gain a few months of experience more. Based on that, you will be able to improve your score and achieve this score. So the minimum thresholds are there. So if you are able to meet those thresholds, you will get an invitation. So if I briefly explain about the process afterwards, right? So how this work is, you set up a profile in the express entry pool, right? Then there will be regular draws, as I said, then if your score is higher than the minimum cutoff, you will get an ITA, which is called invitation to apply. So if you get that invitation to apply, then you have to submit the documents. And if that includes your police reports, medicals, work experience, education, credential assessment, digital photo, likewise. And then once you submit all of those, then the government will review the file. On average, it's taking around 5 to 6 months, right? Then once they review your file, and if they're satisfied about your profile, then you will be given a PR, which is called a golden mail, or the PPR, the passport request. So once you get the passport request, you have to go to the VFS office in Sri Lanka, hand over the passport, and they will stamp it and give it to you. So then you can fly anytime. So once you fly and then come to the respective airport, it can be Toronto airport, or whatever, based on your the province of preference. Then they will give you the COPR, which is the confirmation of permanent residence sheet at the airport itself. So once the moment you step into Canada, you're a permanent resident. So you will enjoy all the benefits that a permanent resident will, right? So that's the process, right? So I know you all are professionals, so I just don't want to take much of your time. What we can do is, all the contact details are here, right? So you see, you can contact us on the WhatsApp. The Canadian number is also there, and a Sri Lankan number is also there. And then if you want to email, you can email it to Suresh at MWWI.ca. Suresh is an expert in the healthcare professional as far as the healthcare professionals are concerned. So you can book a consultation with him, and then he will review the profile. So once all what you have to do is you have to send, let's say if you're a family of 2 and husband and wife, so you send most updated CVs to Suresh. The good part about this is these consultations and this reviewing of files is 100% free. They're not going to charge you anything. right? As I said, my motive, like as an immigrant to Canada, and as a lawyer, I'm very happy that I made that choice to move to Canada, because initially it was tough. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because you have to, until you establish, you might have to do an odd job here and there. And once you establish yourselves and get into the professional career, the floodgates will open and you will be set for life. There is no doubt, because like the good part about is we will be recognized here. So that's what I get, because as a lawyer in Sri Lanka, sometimes because of the malpractices around, you don't get that recognition, right? So the here, when the visa, like if you're a healthcare professional, you're a highly respected figure in the public. That gives you that self-satisfaction, and that gives you the drive to do more to the society, right? So then that's why like you consider, if you are willing to migrate, it's a good option for you, right? එහෙනම් බොහොම ස්තුතියි අපිත් එක්ක එකතු වුණාට. ඔයගලන්ට මොකක් හරි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තියෙනවා නම් මේක සම්බන්ධයෙන් දැනගන්න ඔයගලන්ට contact කරන්න පුළුවන්. අපේ WhatsApp numbers තියෙනවා, ලංකාවේ number එකයි, කැනඩාවේ number එකයි, email address එකක් තියෙනවා. ඒකෙන් ඔයගලන්ට contact කරන්න පුළුවන්. free of charge, ඒ කියන්නේ අපි කිසිම මුදලක් අය කරන්නේ නැතුව ඒ consultation එක reviewing process එක කරනවා. ඒකින්ද ඔයගලන්ට සුරේෂ්ව contact කරගන්න පුළුවන්. මේකෙදී තියෙන වැදගත්කම තමයි ඔයගලන්ටයි මුළු පවුලටමයි ස්ථිර පදිංචිය ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ ස්ටුඩන්ට් කෙනෙක් විදියට, එහෙම නැත්නම් මේ වර්කර් කෙනෙක් විදියට ඇවිල්ලා ඒක නැවත ලබා ගන්න නැතුව රටින් ඇතුළට එනකොටම කෙලින්ම ස්ථිර පදිංචිය ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒතර ස්ථිර පදිංචියට ලැබෙන මේ බෙනිෆිට්ස්, ඒ කියන්නේ උදාහරණයකට ඔයගලන්ට හෙල්ත්, ඒ කියන්නේ ආපු ගමන් හිතන් මොකක් හරි හදිස්සියක් වෙලා හෙල්ත් කෙයාර් ඔයගලන්ට අවශ්‍ය වුණොත්, ඒගලන්ට මොකක් හරි සෞඛ්‍ය සේවය ගන්න අවශ්‍ය වුණොත්, ඒක ඔයගලන්ට නොමිලේ ලබා ගැනීමේ හැකියාවක් තියෙනවා. එතන ළමයින්ට අධ්‍යාපනයේ නොමිලේ ලැබෙනවා. එතකොට ඕගලන්ට කිසිම කොන්දේසියකට යටත් නොවි වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ කියන්නේ පැය ඕගලන්ට 40ක් 50ක් 60ක් කැමති ප්‍රමාණයක් වැඩ කරන්න. ස්ටුඩන්ට් කෙනෙක් විදිහට එයාට පැය 20යි වැඩ කරන්න පුළුවන්. එයා ඉගෙන ගන්න යන්න ඕනේ. කෝස් එකකට අවුරුදු දෙකක කෝස් එකකට මෙහෙ ගෙවන්න ඕනේ 36000ක් විතර. ඉතින් එහෙම බලනකොට මේක ඕගලන්ට කිසිම එහෙම රිස්ට්‍රික්ෂන් එකක් නැහැ. ඇවිල්ලා පර්මනන්ට් රෙසිඩන්ස් ගන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක ගන්න පුළුවන් ඔකියුපේෂන්ස් කීපයයි කැනඩාවේ තියෙන්නේ. හෙල්ත් කෙයාර් වල ඒගොල්ලෝ හඳුනගෙන තියෙනවා 35ක්. අන්නේ 35ට ඔයගොල්ලෝ වැටෙනවා නම් ඔයගලන්ට ලොකු chance එකක් තියෙනවා ඒක කරගන්න. ඉතින් අපේ contact details තියෙනවා. ඔයගලන්ට වැඩි විස්තර දැනගන්න ඕන නම් සුරේෂ්ව contact කරන්න. ඊට පස්සේ සුරේෂ් ඔයගලන්ගේ profiles review කරලා ඔයගලන් ඉස්සරහට යනවා කියලා අපි තීරණය කරොත් ඔයගලන්ට මාත් එක්ක consultation එක book කරලා අපිට වැඩේ කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන්. අපේ ආයතනය ගත්තොත් ඔයගලන්ට බලන්න පුළුවන් මම ඒක regulate කරන්නේ Canadian lawyers සහ ඒක ලංකා office එක head කරන්නේ ලංකාවේ lawyer කෙනෙක්. එතකොට අපි ඔක්කොම registered, අපේ details අපි කියන්නේ ඇත්තද බොරුද ඒ ඔක්කොම verify කරන්න පුළුවන් මේ websites වල. අපේ Facebook page එකට ඇවිල්ලා බලන්න පුළුවන්. අපි සෑහෙන ප්‍රමාණයකට කැනඩාව ඇතුළට එන්න, අධ්‍යාපනයේට මෙහෙ ඇවිල්ලා settle වෙන්න උදව් කරලා තියෙනවා. reviews බලන්න පුළුවන් ඔයගලන්ට ගිහිල්ලා 100% 5 star reviews තියෙන්නේ. ඒකට හේතුව තමයි ඕගලන්ට අපි සේවයක් ලබා දුන්නොත් විතරයි අපේ ආයතනයක් විදිහට අපිට කියන්නේ සතුටක් ලැබෙන්නේ, පුද්ගලයෙක් විදිහට මට සතුටක් ලැබෙන්නේ. ඉතින් ඕගලන් මෙහි ඇවිල්ලා සෙටල් වෙලා ළමයින්ත් එක්ක ඒ කැරියර් එක ඉස්සරහට යන්න පුළුවන් නම් අවසානයේදී ඒක ඕගලන්ටත් හොඳයි. ආයතනයක් විදිහට අපේ ඉන්ටෙන්ෂන් එකත් ඕගලන්ට ඒකට උදව් කරන එක. එහෙනම් බොහොම ස්තුතියි එකතු වුණාට. So once again thank you very much. So if you have any questions, please contact Suresh. So that's it for today. Have a good night since you are in Sri Lanka. So yeah, thank you very much and wish you all the best.